How's it going, comics fans? We're uh, we're back and going over a book called Dog Biscuits by Alex Graham. This was originally an Instagram comic um, during made during the pandemic, I believe. Maybe it was that 2020. Um, yeah, and it's like a anthropomorphic story, um, detailing you know the lives of a few random characters centered around this dog biscuit company in Seattle. And so uh, it's a black and white comic from Fantagraphics. Here we go. So uh, you know uh, Alex Graham basically posted six, I believe, six panels a day on Instagram beginning in June 2020, ending in January 2021. Um, yeah, with the main characters being uh, Rosie, Gussie, Hissy, and Hissy's in there, but I feel like you know Rosie and Gussie are really the main characters, and the story really centers mostly around their relationship. And so Rosie, young, I think probably like early 20s, um, female. Bunny, um, Gussie is like middle-aged, pushing 50, owner of this dog biscuit shop, basically making biscuits, cookies for dogs. um, and so yeah, it's a black and white comic. Uh, I'm not gonna get like too detailed into the story, but what essentially happens is a relationship develops, romantic relationship develops between Rosie and Gussie. Rosie is roommates with this guy Hissy, frog type character. Um, and yeah, I mean, the book basically, around, these three characters, the relationships of the characters, kind of just works through, uh, life during this pandemic that we had. And so it's a comic book that is uh, of its time, a very specific time, uh, probably a period nobody alive, you know, um, in 2020 will ever forget for the rest of their life. And, it's kind of like a encapsulation of, that pandemic as well as kind of society, in that moment. And so, from that perspective, I think Graham did a phenomenal job just being able to, show life from the perspective of a bunch of different types of characters. One younger female, one middle-aged male, a younger kind of rich, spoiled kid. That's Hissy. Um, Issues having to deal with kind of, I guess, inequality. Wealth, inequality, survival, running a business at that time, a lot of the issues as far as homelessness, kind of the, uh, you know, antagonistic relationship maybe, society or lots of people have with police, protesting, yeah, and so um, from that perspective, it was a phenomenal read. The format, essentially a six-panel grid all the way through, made it easy, kind of, this square format for Instagram, and it translates well into the book. Um, I'm generally not that big of a fan of anthropomorphic comics. I don't know why. It's nothing specific, but it's just, I generally just ignore them most of the time. Um, but I feel like, Graham did a phenomenal job, and the art isn't like hyper detailed or anything like that. It's an anthropomorphic comic that's kind of cartoony. Um, she's pumping it out a page a day, so you know I don't think you're going to get the type of detail, but from the perspective of being able to relay the story, having the characters be able to be emotionally expressive, right, through her kind of drawing, she is extremely effective, and so uh, lots of different characters that and moments that just make you laugh, um, really encapsulate a lot of the zeitgeist, I guess, of today, the pandemic. You get the whole kind of Karen thing. What kind of young relationships are like, versus, let's say, yeah, Gussie, who's more middle aged and you know possibly a little bit more old school. Um, you know, it's somewhat explicit. I wouldn't say it's like constantly, um, but there's sex in there. There's like nudity in there. Yeah, and it's really just you know uh, taking a ride with a bunch of characters, going through the pandemic, kind of contemplating, evaluating, deciding like what it is that they want to do with their life. Just as you know, obviously running a business, Gussie owns this dog biscuit factory, and during the pandemic, tons of small businesses basically got destroyed, regardless of whatever loans and support the government gave. We shut down, for almost a year, and yeah, I mean, I'm sure lots of people, including myself, have gone through, what Gussie kind of ends up going through in the story, as far as you know, contemplating kind of, hey, what am I doing here? What am I doing in life? Um, and he's questioning and he's asking himself about these things throughout the story. He's dating, you know, someone, less than half his age, uh, and the reverse for Rosie, and kind of how they work through that. Um, a lot of kind of just random humor, lots of random characters, a lot of like touching moments. There's a character in here. I'm trying to remember where it was, but let me go here. There's a character here that's like an old friend of Gussie. Um, that he's been close to for a while, older than him. Um, that ends up kind of being there for him, and sometimes that's something that's important, right? To not become so isolated from uh, society, from the world, and so yeah, I mean, I'm trying to. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, for some reason I can't remember his name, but this character right here, Gussie helps him out when he needs him, and this guy came through for him in the end. Um, when he needed him, and this touching moment. Um, I mean, it's a really great comic, about people. You see kind of a diversity of people, characters, and I feel like Graham is extremely insightful, about kind of various issues, personalities, things like self sabotage, um, that many of us, go through, over the course of our lives or different moments of our lives. Um, and yeah, I mean, I probably read through this in like two, two sittings. It's like 400-page comic. Not like that's like a novel, but um, it read quickly. And there was moments where it's just like randomly just gut bustingly funny. Um, there's just like this one random thread in here where Hissy, okay, um, his mom is Jennifer Love Hewitt, and that's why he's rich, I guess. Um, and she kind of comes, and he goes to jail or something, and she has to bust him out of jail. Um, he gets abused by the police. Here we go, and then they let him go, but they're picking on this guy, um, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, okay, the beginning of the story, he's introduced as like Hissy. I think, is it Hissy Love Hewitt or Hissy Hewitt, and it's just like, oh, you really are the son. Oh, here we go, Jennifer Love Hewitt. It's just so freaking random. There's another random page, with another roommate where, like, it shows, he's like the child of, like, who was it? Totally can't remember, but there's a page that I want from here, that was just like, it just made me laugh so hard, at the randomness of it. Um, yeah, I mean, if as you kind of looking at this, it's just like, um, I don't know, how well, like, planned out, plotted out, thought out, this book was. Um, like, from the cover, from the beginning, it kind of feels like, Rosie is going to be like the main character. Um, but over time, you know, from my perspective, from my reading perspective, it feels like, Gussie ends up kind of like taking over, and he ends up being kind of the main, if there is one, a main protagonist at the end of it all. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, from that perspective, it's very cool to see, like, oh, and think about, like, oh, how did this, develop in Graham's mind as she was writing? How far ahead, was she planning? Or, was she going kind of just day by day, like, okay, the story ended here yesterday, what are we going to do today? And so I'd really be, um, interested in knowing, uh, the process behind that, and so um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call any of these moments like gut wrenching. It's not a depressing book. It's actually, to me, um, you know, uh, 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 very kind of, at least how it ends. And I don't want to spoil anything, but just optimistic book about life. And it puts everything out there. Um, yeah, I can't seem to find this page. I should have worked it off. But yeah, it's kind of like Hissy and Rosie have a roommate, another roommate, um, that's like this you know kind of weird dude, um, and they're kind of just talking at the end, and oh, this guy Leroy, um, yeah, and it's got to be somewhere right around here. Yeah, so oh crap, so like the police villains, idiots in this book, um come in and try to find his sea. um yeah, I mean, it's a fun journey, through the pandemic. Oh, here we go. Here we go. um yeah, I mean, Leroy and Rosie, after Hissy leaves, getting to know each other, and you know, Leroy's kind of showing Rosie, about his family, and and you know, he shows a picture of his grandpa, and his grandpa is Grimace, and his parents or whatever, and obviously ends up looking like a skinny Grimace, but uh I don't know, I just found this page like just so randomly funny, and there's like moments like this throughout this book. I just feel like it's a fun journey. Highly recommend it. Yeah, and let me know what you guys think about it. Um, and just like in almost all cases where I very much enjoy a book, I do have some original art that I was able to purchase through Athenium Comic Art. Um, so yeah, we'll take a look at that in a second. So we have a few original art pages uh, from the book. I was able to grab a nice early 2-page sequence. Um, this is like you know Rosie and Gussie, um, starting to realize they have feelings for each other, and figuring out kind of what to do, who makes the first move, while they're at work. And so I just found it funny. Rosie likes Gussie, um, and as they're kind of like about to confess, um, Rosie kind of says something about having a crush on her roommate, then Gussie gets pissed. Then Rosie also gets pissed because he gets pissed, and busts on him for being you know twice her age, 49. Yeah, so just a nice sequence that I liked early on in the book, as it's kind of like laying, setting the stage for what's going to happen. Yeah, I think just very expressive, like this angry reaction from Rosie. Same with Gussie. Um, I think Graham did a fantastic job with the character designs and her ability to really um, visually express kind of lots of variety and emotion. So that's two of the pages there. Um, another one later on in the book, they ended up having to deal with uh, Karen customer who just made a huge issue about not wanting to wear a mask, and then Rosie kind of uploaded the video. Yeah, and so the whatever tweet or whatever ends up going viral. At the same time she's thinking about Gussie and like thinking about like cyber stalking this girl that you know um, basically saw kind of her number in his phone or a text from her in his phone, and so now because she likes him, trying to figure out, hey, who is this girl, let me see, and so another great panel down here, the sixth panel. um like I said, just kind of an encapsulation of the world as it is in a lot of ways today in 2020 with the Twitter, um, things going viral. Yeah, I mean, just another. It's like a simple page. I mean, none of this book has any real crazy action that you're going after. You're just, when I look at it, I'm trying to go after kind of cool moments, memorable moments, and so yeah, um, the art is it's on like basically printer paper, so like 8 1/4 by 11. Um, Not my ideal kind of format. Um, when I buy art, just because it's like it's paper. It's thin paper, flimsy. You see kind of everything on the reverse. Um, I don't know how well it's gonna hold up over time, but I enjoyed the book enough that um, I figured I can deal with it, and as a collector of original art, I don't know what to do with some of these sometimes. Like, is it better to, I don't know, attach them to like a thicker board? Um, Not glue necessarily, but maybe some like archival tape, I don't know, mount it, to a board. Um, I haven't really thought too deeply about it, but yeah, these are what the pages look like. Um, Picked them up from Sean at Athenium Comic Art. Great rep. Uh, Got it to me quick, secure. He's passionate about all the artists he reps. He reps mostly like small press, indie artists, but there are some big names in there. Like Tilly Walden. So I can't say I read a ton of uh, the artists that he reps, but he does have big names, like Noah Van Sciver. I have his Fant Bukowski book that has been sitting in my shelf for a long time that I haven't gotten around to, but yeah, maybe I should get around to that one of these days. But yeah, great experience. One of the, he's a newer rep, but he's fantastic, does a fantastic job for his artists. Yeah, so go check out his site if you're into, Dog Biscuits, Alex Graham art, other, small press books and artists. Um, you know, Great selection, So thanks, Sean. Um, yeah, so that's my kind of review overview of Dog Biscuits. Once again, highly recommended. Um, you know, Fun read. Uh, great reading experience. You know, I'm curious really how we'll look on this book, you know, in 10, 15, 20 years. I don't know, you know, like, will it be like a nice time capsule of, you know, 2020 and, you know, regarded highly? I think it might be, you know, it's like such a unique um, moment in time for everybody that was, you know, around. Um, and I think Alex Graham, you know, did a fantastic job just, you know, telling the story of that time period, you know, and so highly recommend it. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Yeah, see you next time. Bye.